I was about to get ready to go to the gym, and I got this. I started thinking, I'm like, first of all, I have not uploaded to my YouTube in I don't know how long. So let's do a little YouTube video. We got an Aquarius full moon today. Shout out to the full moon. I'm always in my most creative energy on full moons, but especially it's an Aquarius full moon, and I'm an Aquarius rising. I just feel it. I just feel it. People will go their whole life, and I used to be people so I could speak. People will go their whole life living a life that they don't really want to live, being unhappy, being depressed, being anxious, being angry, being sad about the fact that they didn't choose to follow their dreams or they felt like they couldn't. I've been asking God lately, I've been praying like, God, help me to continue to walk down the path of radical self-acceptance, because for the longest time before I took the time to figure out who I was, to get to know me, to spend time with myself, I didn't accept myself. I didn't know myself. You feel me? I thought that it was other people that wasn't accepting me. I thought that it was other people that didn't like me, but it was just me. Like, because had I liked me, I wouldn't be around people who didn't. 1:11 on the clock just now. If I liked me, I would not be putting myself in a position to be around people who don't care for me, who don't like me, who don't have my best interests at heart, who don't protect me, who don't make me feel safe. That's a big one for me. Self-love comes with certain actions and certain behaviors. And so when there's a lack of self-love, a lot of times people will think that it's an external thing, like, oh, people don't love me, people are not doing for me. But you really always have to look at yourself in the mirror, or turn that mirror around and ask yourself, in what ways am I not practicing self-love? I always talk about like my isolation season. Y'all know that's one of my favorite periods of my life to talk about, because it was like a transformation season for me. At a point in time where I kept abandoning myself because I had abandonment issues. So wherever your wound is, 9 times, probably like 9.5 times, like I want to say 10 times out of 10, whatever your wound is, you're probably doing it to yourself. You got wounded in a certain type of way, whether you got abandoned when you was younger, you got rejected when you were younger, you got abused while you were younger, but now in your adulthood, you're doing it to yourself. You're in relationships where you're getting abused. You're putting yourself in situations that you're rejecting yourself, not even to be rejected, because that's not even a bad thing, but like you're rejecting yourself. You're betraying yourself if you got a betrayal wound, and you abandoning yourself if you got an abandonment wound, right? So boom, let's get back to this. My transformation season, which is what I'm going to start calling my isolation season, I had no choice but to be by myself. For a person who struggled with abandonment issues and always thinking like people are leaving me, in me being so afraid of people leaving me, I would abandon myself for them. Let's get into it. Let's really talk about the real wound, which is what we inflict on ourselves through our behaviors based off of what it is that we think and we believe about ourselves. So as a young lady with abandonment wounds, when I stopped and I looked at my relationships, my friendships, my job situations, and everything, my whole reality, because your reality is based off of your relationship with yourself. As I'm looking at my reality, I became less upset with these people once I started really doing some self-reflecting. I became more upset at myself. Girl, why do you keep putting yourself in these positions? Why do you keep abandoning yourself for these people? Why are you losing yourself in these people? Why are you chasing after these people instead of chasing after yourself? Why are you sacrificing so much of yourself for these things? And it was because the lack of self-love that I had. It was because I was allowing my wounds to run my life, which a lot of people do when you don't accept your wounds and you don't work on your wounds. If you follow me on TikTok, you know that I speak a lot about like having a people pleaser wound, like me asking myself those questions, like why am I putting myself in these positions? Why am I abandoning myself for these people? I figured out that I was a people pleaser. I figured out that I was doing things for people to get them to not leave me, and in turn I was leaving myself, essentially leaving myself. And that means like not putting my needs first, not putting my wants first, you feel me, not putting my safety first, everybody else before me, because in my mind I thought if I do that, then they will do the same for me. And then that resentment would sit in when I realized that them people is not doing the same for me. It's just real life. No one's going to put you above themselves. That's basic survival needs, to help yourself first before you help other people. But when you're living in the inverse of that, I had to sit down and try to figure out why. If you have any type of wound, there's a part of you that does not accept yourself. If you've been betrayed in the past, there's probably a part of you that think that you the reason why why you were betrayed. And so you start to betray yourself because you got this belief about yourself. Same thing with abandonment wounds, same thing with rejection wounds. People who have rejection wounds, they will reject themselves before giving a person a chance to reject them because of something that they believe about themselves. And so that comes from a lack of self-acceptance. There's something in you that you actually want to reject, or that you keep rejecting, that you're not accepting, right? Because the whole premise of this, I got this video idea just thinking about radical self-acceptance. I prayed and I asked God, I'm like, God, help me to achieve radical self-acceptance. All the things about me that I like and that I don't like. And I feel like I've been on that path. There's always room for improvement. No one's ever perfect. I love the fact that I'm imperfect because there's always something for me to work on. But also keeping myself in a state of not consistently working on myself, but allowing myself to just live. And when you just start to live, when you just start to just like do your thing, you start to notice stuff about yourself. You feel me? You have to accept those things that you notice. It's not always meant to change. But if it's something that's harming you, like your wounds, you need to address that. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. If you got wounds, you need to address them wounds. But like things about your personality, you feel me? Like, instead of pushing them away in ways to get people to accept you, you got to learn how to accept it in yourself. Radical self-acceptance is what keeps people content. Because I have a little issue with the word happiness. I don't know how to explain it, but I don't think that we actually have a grasp or understanding of what happiness really means. I think what people really want is to be content, which is being able to find pockets of happiness even when life is not the best. If you don't have contentment, happiness ain't gonna help you, because happiness is a state of being. Contentment is you being able to tap into that state of being. You feel me? I gotta say this, right? So as a young child, my mother kept me in a lot of different activities and stuff, right? So one activity that I stayed in, it was something called Leadership Academy. Shout out to Mont Lawn Camp. That was my favorite summer camp, hands down. Sorry, Fresh Air Fun. It was a Christian summer camp, actually. And I had branched off and did something called Leadership Academy. It was me and like a group of other kids or whatever. We ain't gonna get into that, but we was lit. We was lit in like middle school or whatever. And I had a friend. This is what I'm bringing this up for. If we're talking about radical self-acceptance, she comes to my mind when I think about this. Her name was Nia. Shout out to Nia Drummond. Beautiful voice, amazing vocalist, piano player, like just all around musically talented and musically gifted. And I love music, you feel me? I don't know how to play an instrument or anything like that, but I've always been drawn to music. So her and I were really close. Nia was my girl. I'm talking about, we was like, what, 13, 14 years old, the only black girl I knew singing opera. Wherever we would go, she would just use her voice anywhere we would go. And if Nia's watching this, bro, remind me if I'm wrong, bro. Do you remember when we was on that scavenger hunt through 34th Street? And we had to go into Macy's or something like that, and we was looking for something, and you started singing, and then people just stopped and was listening to you sing. I'm like, girl, we on a scavenger. Like, we need to win, but you stopped and you captivated people with your voice. And I was just like, Nia knew who she was from a young age. I will never forget, a couple years ago, I seen a video of Nia singing to Busta Rhymes and watching how he reacted to her. That's always how people have reacted to Nia, because she accepts herself in her fullness. And I'm sure that her journey has not been perfect. When it comes down to someone knowing who they were at a young age and accepting that, and now that's why her life reflects what it reflects, is that self-acceptance. That's who I think about. 222 on the cut. 222. You can always tell when a person is living the life that they are supposed to live, because it reflects in their reality. Shout out to Nia. I miss you, girl. I love you. I hope everything is going well. I turned that around on myself. I've always been the type to talk a lot. I just people didn't want to listen to me when I was young. My wound is the fact that people don't like to listen to me. I don't think people actually used to care about what it is that I had to say because I was the youngest. And I think that a lot of times what I have to say is not received the way it could by other people because of my age or my status within my family structure. So I've just learned how to be quiet. But realistically, this is my gift. I've always been a yapper. Always, bruh. I can't shut up sometimes. I be feeling bad for people. Actually, anyone who has ever met me and they be like, oh my gosh, she's so quiet. And then you got to know me and I started yapping and shit. And then you stop liking me. This one's for you. Oh, she changed. Now all of a sudden she acting. No, I'm just being me. I just got a little bit comfortable. You feel me? The type of kid that used to have to sit next to the teacher, next to the teacher's desk, because I would not stop talking to the people around me, or they would have to put me in a desk outside the classroom. That was me. But I was taught to dim myself because I feel like I was around people who didn't accept themselves. So it was kind of hard for them to accept me. And so I started being quiet and like you know, muting myself and like not speaking up, because I learned very early on that speaking up was not a good thing for me. Like, you know, people get mad when I speak up, or I'm being told that I'm rude, or I'm being told that I'm being disrespectful. Shout out to the neurodivergence. So now that I have that self-acceptance about myself, and my talking too much, although it was a nuisance for my teachers when I was younger, is getting me paid right now. So you gotta lean in. It could be the very thing that people might find annoying. That's probably just not your people, bro. And I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm chatting at this point. If you really truly accept yourself, radical self-acceptance, something interesting happens where all of a sudden your reality, you start drawing in your people. Your reality reflects that. And people will look at a person and be like, yeah, I can see how they friends. One thing that all of me and all of my friends have in common, all of my friends are creators. I don't think I have not one friend that is not in tune with some type of creative endeavor, a photographer, a content creator, videographer. That's why you gotta figure out who you are so you can find your people. If you're one of the creatives, the people around you is gonna be creatives. You're more of an intellectual, the people around you are gonna be intellectual. But if you're looking around and you realize that you don't have much in common with the people that's around you, you gotta ask yourself two questions. Why am I here, and where am I supposed to be? Those are the two questions that you gotta ask yourself when you look at the people around you and you realize that they don't reflect who I am. Well, who are you? You can start there. Write down 3 things that identify who you are. You, the one watching this, 411 on the clock. I don't know, maybe that's for some. I've been seeing 444 a lot lately. Shout out to 444. Want to be able to live a life that reflects your self-acceptance, you have to sit down and write down all the uncomfortable things about yourself that you don't like, and then figure out a way to accept those things. If they even, like, you know, most of the time, sometimes you address things, or you face things head on, they're not even that big of a deal for real. Like, it be all in your mind. Or you might get to this point where you'll look at the people around you and you either resent them or you're irritated or annoyed by them, right? Because they are displaying things about you that you have yet to tap into. That's a whole nother video. That's a whole other video, when you actually are around the right people, but because you don't have self-acceptance, you can't accept the things within them because it's really in you. And the thing in them that they radically accept is the very thing about you that you neglect. You got to think about stuff like that too. Because sometimes, again, it's not always other people. Whose child is it? It's always kids around me. All right, y'all. So yeah, I've officially lost my train of thought. So we gonna end this video right here because I accept that about myself now. I accept the fact that a lot of times I be forgetting shit. I'm a forgetterer. It comes with the ADHD, because I don't even know what I was talking about for the past how long. I really don't know why I'm sitting here, but at least I got everything out, you know. So thanks for tuning into the video, and yeah, I'll see y'all in the next one, I guess. Yo, I love how my intuition works, because I think I lost my train of thought at the end of that video because it was about to start to rain. Because as soon as I was sitting down, I was like, wait, but there's something else I needed to say. I started feeling y'all see this guy? I started feeling the drops, like, oh, that's why I forgot what I was supposed to say. You gotta trust your intuition sometimes. I don't know, maybe somebody needs to hear this. Trusting your intuition is also a really, really good way that you can practice self-acceptance. The more you accept yourself, the more you'll be able to trust yourself. The more you trust yourself, the more you'll be able to create the reality that you've always wanted. It's a beautiful sun shower though. All right, y'all, bye.